Hari Om. We will talk about stress. So, what is stress? In simple words, we can say that stress is a reaction, and this reaction can be different for different people. For the same thing, for the same situation, for the same event in our life, different people can react in a different way. So, basically, the event, the situation is not stress. It is the way we react to the situation is called as stress. The definition says that stress is a reaction, it's a response to an event which disturbs the equilibrium. Or in short, it's a reaction which produces imbalance in the mind, in the body, in the functioning of the body, in your thinking. So it's an imbalanced state which is caused because of a reaction to certain things, to a certain situation, to an event, to an external stimulus. So if we react and it produces an imbalance, we can call it as a stress. So if you want to control the stress, our responses should be controlled. Our responses should be balanced so that it will prevent imbalance and it will not be stressful. To understand stress in a better way, it's important to understand where this reaction starts. So the situation, the event has an effect on our mind. The mind reacts and the reaction is seen at the level of our brain cortex, or to simplify, the nervous system, the brain. From there, the effects they are further seen on the hypothalamus. Now, hypothalamus is a coordinating point between our nervous system and the endocrine system or the hormonal system. So, at the hypothalamus, the hormones and the nervous system they interact with each other. And this hypothalamus also responds to your past experiences, your past memories about the situations, about the events. So from the brain, the effects they are seen over the hypothalamus. From the hypothalamus, the effects then they are seen on the pituitary gland. Now this gland is the master endocrine gland, or it's called also called as the queen of the hormonal glands. And the position is the eyebrow center. You can focus on the eyebrow center, and that's the pituitary gland focusing. Now, from this queen of the hormonal glands, the effects are then seen further on the adrenal glands. Now, adrenal gland, there are a pair of glands situated in the abdomen just over the kidney. So one gland on the right kidney and one gland over the left kidney. So two adrenal glands. And once these adrenal glands are stimulated, they start secreting excessive amounts of adrenaline. Now, this is one of the stress hormones which commonly is known by everyone. There are many more stress hormones, but just to keep it simple, we will talk or we will mention only adrenaline. And because of this excessive levels, high levels of adrenaline, then we say that we are stressed. So the situation has an effect on your mind, from the mind over the brain cortex, then the hypothalamus, the pituitary gland, then the adrenal gland, and then the secretion of adrenaline. Now, if you want to control stress, you have to stop this chain of reactions. And the best point to stop this chain of reactions would be at the level of our mind. Because the situation is not under our control, but the reaction of our mind can be controlled, or we can use the word the reaction of the mind can be balanced. So, if we are capable of controlling our mind, controlling the reaction of our mind, balancing the reaction of our mind, then the further chain of this process will stop. There will be no excessive secretion of adrenaline and we will not experience the stress. So, control of stress can be done at the level of our mind. Now, what are the effects of being stressed? Or these are the effects of very high levels of adrenaline. And the effects, they are indicative of imbalance created in our body. So high blood pressure, increased blood pressure is an indication of imbalance. It's an effect of stress. Increased respiratory rate, it's again the effect of stress. The muscle tone can increase. There can be change in the level of your hunger, your appetite. Sometimes you feel too much hungry. Sometimes you say that the hunger has reduced. There are people who feel too much hungry when they're stressed. And there are people who don't feel hungry at all when they are stressed. So both they are the effects of stress and they indicate that there is an imbalance, there is loss of balance, that having normal appetite is a balanced state. Increase or decrease in it is an imbalanced state. Similarly, at the mental level, there can be tension, there can be anger, there can be irritability. Now, these effects, all of them are not seen in each individual. Some individual may experience increased blood pressure, the other people they may experience tension and anger. So it's not necessary that all those who are stressed will have all these effects. We can continue with the list of effects because of stress. It can be sweating. Sometimes when you're stressed, you say, I can feel the sweat on my palms. Sometimes it can be increased urination. You might have experienced it that you are ready to go and attend some important meeting. Just a few minutes back, you had visited the washroom, your bladder is empty, but then when you get ready for that important meeting, again you feel, oh, my bladder is full. I just need to visit the washroom. That's because of stress, imbalance, excessive tiredness, depression, improper bowel movements, lack of sleep, or too much of sleep can be the symptoms of stress. Some people they say that when I am stressed, I have wakeful nights. I cannot sleep throughout the night. And some people, when they are stressed, they go to bed and they keep sleeping for hours together. So all these effects, all these symptoms, they are indications just of the imbalance going on inside our body. Now, many a times, negative life events are blamed to cause stress. Something happening negative in the life and we are stressed. So stress is associated always with the negative part. But there can be also some things which are positive and stress can be associated with that. Actually, positive and negative, these two words, these two terms in itself, they are relative terms. Something which is positive for some person can be negative for the other person. So even stress is not only associated with the negative life events. For example, getting $1 million can be stressful. Losing $1 million, yes, it is definitely a stress. Everyone will accept it. But at the same time, getting $1 million can also be stress. So basically, the $1 million is not a problem. The problem is how you react to that particular thing. So getting or losing $1 million, there are two opposite things. One is maybe negative thing, the other is maybe positive thing. But then both the things, the way you react to them can be stressful. Similarly, we think that some big event, some major event should happen in our life and then we are stressed. But actually, it's the other way around. There are multiple small events, multiple minor events happening in our day to day life, and we react to them in such a way that constantly our adrenaline levels they go on increasing. A simple example of a very small event in our life. For example, you are having an important meeting in your office. So you get ready for the meeting, and at the last moment, just before leaving your home, you don't get the key of your car. You want to get to the meeting on time, and here at your home, you're not getting the key of your car. Very small thing. Some of you might have already experienced it. And what happens then? Stress for that few seconds, maybe few minutes till you get the key of your car. But by the time you get the key of your car, the adrenaline levels they have shooted up. And when you get the key of your car, the adrenaline level they slowly start coming back to their baseline. But then before that adrenaline levels they come back to their baseline, maybe you are stuck up in the traffic. Again, the adrenaline levels will start increasing. So these small minor things in your life, they continuously go on stimulating the chain of reactions, and a point comes when the adrenaline levels they never come to the baseline. And that is what we call chronic stress in our life. So again, basically, the event in itself is never stressful. It is the way you react to it. It's the way you look at the event which creates stress. Now, when we are talking about stress reactions, two words are very popular, very common when we talk about stress. It is the flight reaction and the fight reaction. Flight is to run away from the situation, to avoid the situation. And fight is the reaction where you face the situation. So either avoiding the situations or facing the situations or fighting back the situation. Both of these reactions, they are alarm reactions, they are emergency reactions. And for both of these reactions, your mind and body is on an alert mode, on an emergency mode. And because of this alert mode, because of this emergency mode, you go on spending lots of energy for this flight and fight reaction. And this happens when you are stressed and then you feel exhausted mentally and physically. It's not that this flight and fight reactions are harmful. Sometimes they are necessary. But then, if your body mind is continuously in this alert mode, in this emergency mode, then you will go on exhausting your mind and body and you will develop fatigue and weakness. Now, this was in short, in very brief, and in maybe just very simple language to understand about stress. Now, coming to the point of management of stress, of course, with yogic practices. The main approach would be to control or to learn to control these stressful thoughts. Because as we said earlier, the reaction starting point would be the mind. And everyone says that you should have positive thoughts, formulate positive thoughts, stop negative approach. But it's important that first you stop your negative approach, then and then only you will have space for positive thoughts in your mind. Our mind is preoccupied with hundreds and thousands of unnecessary negative thoughts. We keep on holding to many things which are unnecessary and many a times they are negative and we keep them in our mind. So if we have it in our mind, there will be no space for the positive thoughts to come in. So first, you have to remove this negative approach and then go towards the positive approach. A very simple way to explain what I mentioned just now. We all know these three buttons, keys on our laptop, on our computer: control, alter, and delete. So controlling your thoughts, altering or changing your thoughts, and deleting the unnecessary negative thoughts so that you can have that positive approach of thinking. So control, alter, and delete the unnecessary, unwanted negative thoughts which are continuously at the back of our mind. Try to remove them and try to focus on the positivity of life. Now, how yoga can help for these things? The first and the most important thing which have been mentioned for stress management is breath control. Our breathing is involuntary, but up to a certain extent, we can control the process of breathing with our mind. Willfully, we can control our breathing. So, our mind can influence breathing. So, if you want to control stress, try to influence the breathing so that your mind is influenced. Try to control your breathing so that your mind is controlled or your mind is balanced. So, the first and the most important thing in stress management would be breath control, breathing exercises, pranayama practice. The most simplest and effective practice will be alternate nostril breathing. This alternate nostril breathing will also help you to balance the left and right side of your brain. Your nervous system will be balanced, your hormonal system will be balanced. You can help yourselves to manage the stress. So, alternate nostril breathing. Of course, deep breathing is definitely important because for deep breathing, you need to focus on the process of breathing. And when you focus on the process of breathing, the mind becomes thought free. In pranayama, the alternate nostril breathing, I mentioned one. Another you can mention is Brahmari. Brahmari would be very useful in reducing your stress. And one more important pranayama can be mentioned is Ujjayi. So pranayama practice, breath control practice will be the topmost for stress management. Next important would be Omkar chanting and mantra chanting. It will help you to create that positive vibrations within you. And furthermore, Omkar chanting is indirectly deep breathing. Because to chant Om, you have to take in a deep breath, and when you are breathing out, you chant the Omkar. So Omkar chanting will have double benefits. First would be the benefits of deep breathing, and second will be the benefits of the vibrations of the sound which are created in that Omkar chanting. Basically, Nada, it means vibrations, sound. It helps you to reduce the thoughts from your mind, or it even can make your mind thought free. So, Nada, for example, the bell in the temple, the ringing bell in the temple. You go to the temple, you ring the bell, and your mind becomes thought free. It becomes calm and quiet. So, any soothing sound, like as I said, the ringing bell, it can be the singing bowls, it can be the sound of gentle breeze, it can be the sound of the ocean waves, it can be the sound of some musical instrument. So, sound, it can help you to make your mind thought free. And in that way, it will help you in the management of stress. Then the practice of Trataka, concentrated gazing. You're focusing yourselves on a small black dot over a white background. So that focusing on that black dot, or it can be a steady candle flame. Focusing on it, it will help you to control your mind. Now, actually, our mind is distracted by the five special senses. The five special senses: the eyes for vision, the nose for smell, the ear for hearing, the tongue for taste, and the fifth is touch. So these five special senses, they distract our mind. So if you want to control, if you want to balance your mind, you need to control these five special senses. And Trataka is one step towards controlling the special senses. Because when you're practicing Trataka, actually your mind should be focused through your eyes on the image. It can be a black dot, it can be a candle flame, it can be any object. So, if your mind is focusing itself on that particular candle flame through your eyes, you're trying to control it by focusing on one particular thing. So, Trataka will also be helpful in stress management. Then the practice of Jalaneti. It's a cleansing method. You take warm, salted water and you pass it through one nostril and then it comes out of the other nostril. So that warm salted water, when it enters in your nostrils, it stimulates the sensitive nerve endings in the nose. And these sensitive nerve endings are directly connected to our brain. So when the salted water enters from one nostril and comes out of the other nostril, it actually helps in stimulating the nerves and balancing your right and left brain hemispheres. So with Jalanidhi practice, you will get the basic benefits like you remove the mucus, you remove the pollution from your nose. That's the basic benefit. But at a deeper level, it will help you to balance your nervous system. So Jalanidhi practice would be definitely recommended for stress management. And then of course the practice of Yoga Nidra. You can call it as conscious dreaming. You are on the borderline of sleeping and staying awake. And in that condition, you are giving instructions to your mind. So that's like giving commands, giving information, giving suggestions to your mind. And then also in the practice of Yoga Nidra, there is a part which is called as visualization. So you visualize things in front of your eyes. It increases your mind power, your mental power. So Yoga Nidra can be called as reprogramming of your mind. And with this proper reprogramming of your mind, it can help you in stress management. So all these things all together, they will be beneficial in stress management. Now here, I did not even mention the name of any single yogasana, yoga position. Because yoga positions would not be contraindicated for stress management. All the yoga positions would be important, will be necessary. Because practice of yogasana, practice of yoga is a process of normalization. So all yoga positions can be practiced, but if we want some specific, we can mention some of them. For example, all those yoga positions which are good for your pituitary gland and which are good for your adrenal glands will help you in stress management. So the positions which have an effect on the pituitary gland, the master gland. Simplest answer for that is all those yoga positions where you touch your forehead on the floor. So whenever your forehead is touching the floor, it will stimulate, it will activate the proper functioning of the master gland, the pituitary gland. So for example, the Ashtanga position, it will be good for your master gland. Or as such, Ashtanga position is good for all the glands, the hormonal glands in our body. So for stress management, first would be the group of asanas where your forehead touches on the floor. Second group of asanas would be the asanas where you have a gentle compression of the upper abdominal area because the adrenal glands are situated there. So if you can compress the upper abdominal area, you can stimulate the adrenal glands, and it will be helpful in stress management. The third group of asanas would be the asanas which are practiced on both the sides. Like you practice the asana on the left side and then you practice the same position on the right side. So when you are practicing the asana on both the sides, the left side and the right side, it will help you to balance your left brain and the right brain. It will help you to balance your nervous system. So the third group of asanas would be the asanas which can be done on both the sides. And the fourth group of asanas would be the asanas which are balancing positions. So these balancing positions again would have an effect on your nervous system and your endocrine system, because what is necessary is balance. So here I have not mentioned the name of any asana, but then definitely you can have four groups of asana, like asana having the effect on the pituitary gland. Second is the positions having the effect on the adrenal gland. Third, it would be the asana which can be done on both the sides. And lastly, the balancing position. Of course, you can avoid some hard, difficult positions, like someone who is stressed. Directly, you will not ask him to be upside down. So you can avoid definitely the very advanced positions, but the basic balancing positions can be helpful. So this would be, in short, about stress management through yoga. Now, in the end, there are certain terms which are used in relation to stress. The first is distress. It's when the person cannot adapt to the stress. Then there is something which is called as hyperstress. It is too much of pressure situation. And the opposite of that would be hypostress, when there is very less stress. There is one important term associated with stress, and that is called as eustress. Now, this eustress, in simple words, can be said to be the good stress in our life. It is the stress required for the personal growth, or it is the stress, it is the minimum stress which is required for the personal growth, and it is good for our life. The best part of us comes out because of this eustress. Now, just to understand what is this eustress in simple language, we can compare this eustress with a stringed musical instrument. The musical instrument which you can play and is stringed. So before you start playing that musical instrument, the first thing what you have to do is tune the strings. So for tuning the strings, you need to pull the strings. So if you pull the strings too much, the strings will be the strings will break. So too much of stress is harmful. On the other hand, if you don't pull the strings enough, If the strings are loose, proper music will not come out of that instrument. Same thing with the stress. If there is no stress, it's no good. So what you do is you pull the strings at a proper tension so that they neither break nor they are loose. Similarly, eustress is precisely compared to this tuned up musical instrument, which is pulled to an extent where it will not break, but at the same time, it's not loose. So, eustress, you can call it as the minimum stress in your life so that your life is going on proper. Too much stress is harmful. No stress is also harmful. So that minimum stress, which will bring out the best out of you, is called as the eustress. So with this positive note about stress, because we said that think positive. So with this positive note about stress, we will stop this very short, very brief and basic introduction to stress and its yogic management. Hari Om.